and what you've seen, what you feel.
How's the energy for Nikki, like for her campaign? Good?
Yes, actually, we're seeing a lot of excitement, people loving the events, loving going to see her and seeing how real she is. That's something that we hear a lot.
Nice. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Green Room. We are super excited for our guest today. We can't wait to bring her on. She's a dynamo and she's traveling the state of Florida, running for the governor.
Right. Well, Nikki's joining us.
So
and,
she's
joining
us. So we're gonna bring her on shortly. And I know we have a lot of people tuning in to listen to her. So she's gonna be coming on in a few minutes.
It's our 105th. I think Green Room. Don always keeps us posted. And who you see on the screen with us, Kramer, I think we had you in a Green Room earlier. I know we did for sure.
So, yes.
Right. We have Kramer Verde. I hope I got that right. I always try to. Who is now very high up in Nikki's campaign. I think leading the Hispanic outreach for the campaign. And don't let me put words in your mouth. But as we were coming on, before Nikki joins us, I wanted to get a sense, and Ruta as well, from Kramer about what he's seeing out there in Florida, going to literally every community around the state, Panhandle, Miami, everywhere in between. Bring us up to date, Kramer. What's going on out there?
Dr. Berry, thank you. Currently, I am the political director for the campaign, working with Commissioner Freed, traveling all over the state. And one thing I can say is that there is a lot of excitement.
That's excellent.
People getting to see her, going to the events, listening and getting to know her. It's very impressive, the response that we're getting. And it makes us very happy. And I think that's why we're getting so much momentum right now. And something that you cannot take only my words for it, but you will see on the most recent poll, put Commissioner Freed 4 points ahead.
So
we always think that
Florida,
and we always think that sometimes we are like very positive and thinking how well we're doing, but when you see numbers validating what we're seeing, it's very good to see. And Commissioner Freed is joining us right now.
Okay, do you want to give a quick intro about Commissioner Freed?
Well, good morning, Nikki. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much.
You get to see the bus. Look,
I know this is so cool.
Listen, thanks for joining us. It's such an honor. And I see the bus in the background.
Wow, beautiful bus.
We're having fun. We started the bus tour this week, and so we're in Gainesville. So I'm starting my day fantastically with you all and in Gainesville. So I'm a happy camper today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Can you only imagine living the college life in the bus, so to speak, back in the day? Yes. You can.
Well, hopefully that's going to be a party bus come on the 24th when you're going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party to go against DeSantis.
So the lead-in that we have with Kramer and Don, do you have those pics that I asked you to pull? So you can go ahead and show them. So the lead-up that we were talking with Kramer and Nikki is literally how hard you've worked relentlessly every single day from the beginning of your campaign. In fact, even before with your campaign for Commissioner of Agriculture. And I want to make a comment about how great a job you're doing at that too, because I think people ignore it. But I had Don pull some pictures that go back. Do you have them, Don?
Yeah.
So a little montage. I was proud to have you, of course, as one of your earliest campaign finance event here in my office. But there's pictures that I hope are scrolling by that go back to your run for Commissioner of Ag with Patty and myself, my lovely, I know Ruta's got some standing with you during this campaign, right? But my point is you've literally been all over the state. I thank you for your work, your vigor, working hard for what I know are the issues that are important to all of us Floridians. And I'm going to open it up to you to give your impressions, because I know Kramer was telling me about the excitement that you're seeing as you tour the state.
Yeah, we certainly are feeling it. We've been feeling it. I think I was even hearing you Kramer say it a little bit, is that we have been feeling that momentum. We have been feeling like people are just, there's two things. One, they're so tired of the divisiveness. They're so tired of the hatred. I mean, even there earlier this morning, I woke up to the papers and seeing that they're pulling down more LGBTQ stuff inside of our schools. I mean, people are just tired of this. And no matter who you are, unless you are the extremes, on the radical right, everybody else is just tired of the nonsense. And so that's one aspect. But two, we're also, Democrats just want to win to stop this. And so we're seeing that people are asking that really big question, who can actually win? Because Democrats are tired of losing. We've lost for 28 straight years. Who can win and who's going to take our ideals and have that fight? And when they're coming to, okay, who is this girl? Because, I don't have universal name ID. Probably do now, but I didn't, the last, year and a half when I started running. And so now people are saying, okay, wait, we have an actual viable option. Somebody who's been fighting Ron DeSantis, somebody who's been standing up for us. Why are we not going with her? And we're starting to see that excitement all over the state. And of course, seeing that poll this week, it just validates what we've been feeling on the ground.
That's fantastic.
And people are hurting out there. And I know you've seen that. And,
I think the biggest issue though right now, because I actually got a lot of feedback on my Instagram when I posted about you being on today. There's a lot of women. I think the women are the ones who are rallying now, because out of the blue yesterday, I got a lot of feedback about you and it was all positive. And a lot of people are like, she's going to take it because she's representing the women much better. And I think that's where you're going to draw your strength from.
Yeah. And we already saw in that poll that we are beating both Ron and Charlie by 20 points in women. So that is really, as long as women, are coming out. And look, I'm just going to lay this out here too. That hasn't always been the trend. Women and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but everything that I have always seen in my entire life, women haven't stood together. That we've had the cat fights, that women are not used to supporting other women. They're used to still the men being the CEOs and the presidents and the governors. And so the older generation typically has been like, well, I don't know if a woman's electable. And so we've seen a lot of that over the course of my whole life. But it's nice for the first time that we're really truly seeing, and not necessarily from the electeds, but from the actual women on the ground who are scared for their own personal safety and for their kids and their grandkids are coming around and saying, we've got to support one another. And I do see that is happening. And I also think that people are tired of that question of, are they electable? Are they qualified? Because men don't get asked that question. And so when people are seeing that, wait a second, she's a statewide elected Democrat. She's won, and look what she's been doing as Commissioner of Agriculture. She's been practicing law for 19 years. Of course, she's qualified. And I think that when more and more people are asking that question and more people are able to answer it, I think women are saying, look, we got to stop this. We got to break that glass ceiling and show that anything is possible.
Absolutely. And honestly, other states around the United States have female governors that have been like tremendous in their roles. So I think it's time to crack that ceiling a little here in Florida with you. I think that's where we're going.
And I think it's the men also that care about women and care about women's health issues. And Nikki, that I, went to St. Pete to stand with you early on after Roe. Because of my role as an emergency physician through the years, I know we can't go backwards. So, the positions that you take and you do that with knowledge and understanding and reaching out to people like myself to really get the depth of, and it's a socioeconomic issue. We all know that. Those people that want to obtain, and I say this, you may find that talented high school seniors may elect to go to certain states, to college and not go to other states because they don't want to be stuck in a state where, God forbid, something would happen to them, even rape, at a bar or whatever.
And Barry, too, think about this also. Think about our military. I've spoken to a lot of military, women, and they said, well, we're concerned about where we get stationed. Depending on, because still, there's unfortunately still a lot of sexual assaults happening inside of our military. And, where are they going to go? Are they going to be able to get leave if they happen to get pregnant while they're, being served in, Alabama? And, what happens next? And so you're seeing a lot of these military women are starting to get very concerned about their own safety and where they get stationed, depending on the abortion laws.
One thing, Nikki, that I'd love to do is hear about you. I think because yesterday, one of the women on my Instagram said, she goes, I'm so excited to get to listen to her one-on-one, like in an more intimate setting that, people actually get to listen to you. Tell us about you and what gives you the drive to do what you're doing and not sleep for months on end.
Is that show the bags? I try covering up the bags a little bit. So for those who don't know, I grew up in Miami. My mom is a diehard.
Yeah, a little halty. But I knew she was going to go to her mom first, and I know we'll get her back. They'll have a good internet on there.
Yeah, I think we're going to get her back in a second.
Yeah, we will. And I know she was going to go with her mom first because it's all about family. There you are.
Yes, Commissioner Fried.
Okay,
you're back.
Sorry. So I grew up and I was very involved in my youth organization, which is my youth organization, which is the largest international Jewish youth organization in the world. And I was very involved both in South Florida and also ran involved on the international level, ran for international president, did all of our international programs. And the things that I kind of got taught through there and through my Jewish faith was what we'd say tikkun olam. Tikkun olam means to heal the world. And so it is ingrained in us to always be stepping up for other people, always looking at ways to do good. I was doing soup kitchens and community and going to senior living facilities and volunteering. That's just who I am. And then I went to the University of Florida, so it's nice to be back in Gainesville, where I did my undergrad, my master's, and my law degree. I was the first female student body president here in almost 2 decades. It was also a very old boy network here at UF. And then after I left and I graduated, I first moved to Jacksonville to practice law, and I hated every single moment of it. I was in private practice.
And I'll make the Jewish joke about that. That's what the Jewish gals are supposed to do.
Oh, we had her back for a second.
She'll be in and out a little bit.
Am I back on?
Yes, you're back on.
Yes.
Back on. All right. So I kept talking, so I don't know where I just stopped.
So you left off at University.
You did what your parents told you to do. Get a real law job. Just like when I went into emergency medicine, my dad said, "What the heck is that? Go be a pathologist or a radiologist."
Yes. Everybody said you got to go because I applied for, when I first got out of law school, I actually tried to apply for some campaign jobs, and everybody's like, "You just got a law degree. Go practice law." And so I did, and I hated every moment of it. And so that's when I moved back to Gainesville to become a public defender, and I loved every moment of that, but really saw how difficult it was to be somebody who's Black and brown, and saw the inequities in the system and the economic lack of opportunities. And it really opened my eyes to the two worlds that we all live in. And especially, and that's also, and Barry knows this too, is also where a lot of my advocacy on cannabis comes from, because I saw the disproportionate, attacking of those in the Black brown communities on marijuana charges, and the odor of cannabis was detected, and that became the probable cause for so many of my cases. And so this was something that was part of my journey. But then my dad called, my Republican father, and said, "Hey, we are having a problem. We have a foreclosure crisis, and the banks are taking away people's homes. Come home and protect them." So I came back down to South Florida. And then kind of throughout the course of time, I really missed being involved in trying to change public policy. And that's what I did. And I went up to Tallahassee, and I started to fight for things up in Tallahassee. But what gets me up every single day is I hate nepotism, hate corruption. I hate that everybody doesn't have a fair opportunity to for jobs, or for, that they work really hard and they get passed over because of they don't know the right people in the process. And I wake up every day too, and especially on this journey. I was at an event the other day, and as I was driving away, there was a mother who was running up to the car and said, "Oh my God, am I missing you? I want you to be my daughter." Her daughter was like 12 years old, and she just kind of looked at her daughter and said, "She's running for governor of our state. See, anything is possible."
Oh,
and those types of interactions, if that doesn't inspire you, then you're wrong thing.
Absolutely.
And you know what, Nikki, I think that really points out what's going on right now in the country, and not to take it nationally, but we know Ron is Ron as well with his ambitions. To me, if you believe in authoritarianism, right, and that's kind of what I think, at least in my opinion, if you still believe in Trumpism, you got to believe in authoritarianism. He didn't want to give it up. He lost. That means in general, you've got yours already, right? You don't really care about those that don't have theirs. You're not concerned about the marginalized. You're not concerned about others' rights. I don't know. That's just my opinion. And I know you're out there fighting every day for all of those rights, our voting rights, our sexual freedom rights, who you can marry, all those things. And that's why I'm so vigorous now in working behind you and saluting you for speaking to all those issues. This is such a critical time for that reason. And we need people up there presenting what I think the majority of us on Earth One, at least, believe is the honest truth, is that there is a rule of law. Everybody needs to follow it. Everybody needs to follow it. And it's that clarity, that I appreciate. And thank you so much for.
Well, and I think the problem is there's definitely rule of law and you have to follow.
Oh, we lost her. Hold on, we'll have her rejoin in a second.
Yeah, it'll be a minute.
No, but I think, it's so many issues that bind every single person, and it's our freedoms seem to be taken away.
Commissioner Freeze.
Are we back?
I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. No, you're on the bus. We get it. You're campaigning.
No, it's a part of the special
why we need
flavor
more
of it.
bands in our state.
Well, no, it's amazing. You would think that up and down 75, you would never lose it, right?
So is she back or?
There are still broadband issues all over the state, but
Okay.
am I back?
We got you. Yeah, we have you back.
Am I back? Okay.
We just need you back on video, but we're good. At least we can hear you.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you see me?
Not
You
yet.
can't see me.
No.
That's okay.
Okay, well,
Oh, we lost her totally. Hold on. That's okay.
She's rejoining.
She's rejoining. Yeah, so she gets on the video. That's
Yeah.
okay.
can you hear me at all?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you. So Nikki, since
Okay.
we're getting you, I think, back, and you're back
There
on
we
video. And what are you hearing from, because you're literally boots on the ground. So what are you hearing from people? Like, what are the major concerns? Obviously, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, just books, not burning them, basically. But what are you hearing? I mean, obviously we are in an inflationary mode right now. Housing crisis is through the roof. People can't afford rent. What other concerns, and what are you looking at? Like, what are you seeing on the ground on that?
Right now, the issues that I'm hearing every single day, no matter where I am, is about housing. It's about housing. Whether it is the increasing of rent all over the state, some places 60%, some places even higher than that, to property insurance. I mean, those two things dealing with housing is really impacting everybody. So if you own a home, you're dealing with your property insurance issues. If you rent, you're dealing with the rent increases. So it crosses the spectrum for everybody. And that's really what I'm hearing the most about, is what are the solutions? What are the issues? And it's frustration, because people are like, wait a second, we are supposed to have all this money here in the state of Florida. And
Hold on, I'll get her back.
No, and I've heard you speak to the housing emergency, Nikki, as one of your first acts that you'll do when you become governor.
But it is an emergency.
It
Like,
is
I
an
mean,
emergency.
I got dropped from house insurance and I got picked up with the premiums like through the roof. It was
Right.
like almost more than double.
Right.
And then our neighbors got dropped recently too. And they just said they got an increase. So, and then rent, like, this is the only thing, like, for working Floridians, the salaries aren't there to match what the rent prices are. I mean, if you look at the rental prices, Sarasota, Florida is almost as high, if not higher, than New York.
I'm
City. I mean,
amazed.
it's
I'm amazed
crazy.
how people live, on
don't
the
know
amount of
how.
money that it says what the national
But the
average may
problem
be,
is-
or the county average may be.
But then we're losing like our employees, because you go to a restaurant, nobody's working because they can't afford to live in the area.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden your service industry collapses and you're going out to dinner and you can't even get
That's strange
service.
time.
It's a very
Yeah.
bizarre time. She's still off, so
Yeah.
no, but it's a critical issue, and for youth, because they're the ones that are graduating
Right.
from colleges here. If you look at the cost of living of buying a home, and then what you're going to get reimbursed for finances, work working your first job, they can't afford to stay in Florida. So like there was on Business Insider yesterday, there was a great article. It said, 221,000 people are moving into Florida, but there's actually like 100,000 that are leaving because they can't afford it anymore. So, very strange it's a crazy time.
And listen, and I know the room's going to get away from us, Kramer, and I know that Nikki's got a hard stop, so hopefully she can rejoin us. But if not, you're great. But I wanted to bring up at least a couple of cannabis issues since we are, the green room, and there's been some significant changes even over the past 2 weeks with the onset of a new legal adult use constitutional amendment campaign called Smart and Safe Florida. I wanted to ask Nikki a quick question about that. But
Commissioner Fried, I believe, is joining us by phone.
Great. And I want to make a comment too while she is joining us. When I was at the KushCon a couple Saturdays ago and had the honor of introducing Nikki at an event, I was really struck by the admiration in the hemp side of the cannabis world for what Nikki and Holly and now Kylie have done on the hemp side, working along with the purveyors in the hemp world, the growers, the processors, in contrast to the OMU, who I, on the medical side, have to deal with. That is very difficult to deal with.
For those that are listening, the OMU is the medical registry.
Office of Medical Marijuana Use. So, Nikki, I wanted to give you a really big heads up from your hemp community, from your hemp community, who I really felt the love for what you've done there. And I wanted to at least bring in a cannabis topic or two before we lose you. As you know, there's a new constitutional amendment drive. And I'd be interested in your comments on that. I know your feelings, not to put words in your mouth. You'd like to bring horizontalization, if you can, to the cannabis world as we go forward. And I know you support Homegrow.
Just lost her. Yeah, it's hard on the.
It is hard. So, and I say those things, not putting words in Nikki's mouth, but because she spoke to it.
She's back.
Yep.
We got her.
I'm gonna try. I don't get what I'm now on my cell phone, so it should have been better. But yeah, I mean, look, you've heard me all say for a very long time that the program is not working for everybody. That we've got 22 licenses, we've got none that are minority owned. We're still waiting for the Black Pigford warrant to be handed out. I'm told that may not even happen until after the election because Ron doesn't want the other 60 for every, four for every 100,000 patients. That hasn't been done. Hearing that they don't want that done until next legislative session so that the big guys may change the law and on this issue. And we're moving backwards on that because we know that the more licenses that are out there, you break up vertical, the more competition there is. That means that the prices go down. There's more research, there's more opportunities for our patients. And so that's very frustrating to me and something that I've been very vocal about. And part of that too, there's 2 citrus licenses that preferences that.
And the point is, everybody, if you want that to change and you want that to go forward quicker, then we need to have the right person sitting in the governor chair. And Nikki has well demonstrated.
Determined.
Right. And Nikki has well demonstrated that she's that person. Nikki, when the gun ruling came back, the Amendment 2 ruling came back, we really haven't had a chance to talk about it because I didn't really want to get overly involved in this very important time for you and your campaign. But I know you couldn't have liked the government's response to our suit. As a doctor, I was very insulted to see that our government is still regarding cannabis consumers as irresponsible adults, and that was hurtful.
Yeah, it was very hurtful. That all the work that we did, the conversation on responsible use medical purposes, for the government to make such a drastic step backwards. They could have just left it as a motion to dismiss, but the fact that memo attached to it, using 1633 law, talking about removing of guns from, they didn't even call them Indians. I mean, Native Americans, they call them Indians. And just very not realistic to what is happening on the ground and all the advancements that have been going on across the world on medical. Very disappointed. And so it's frustrating. But even onto the constitutional amendment, you know where I am on legalization. But I'm very concerned. I understand where the drafters wanted to make sure that it was narrowly tailored so that it would get past muster for the Supreme Court and then get onto the ballot and get the votes. But of course, I'm in support of home grow. For that is something that I'm supportive of. I'm supportive of giving out more licenses, breaking up the vertical. And if we get ourselves into a situation where the legislature is the only ones who are going to be able to open up more licenses and break up vertical, that could be a problem, that you're basically just protecting those current license holders. And that's a concern. And I don't, I'm definitely not going to speak on behalf of the whole, activist community of cannabis, but certainly there's going to be some problems.
It surely is a reason to have a governor sitting in the chair that doesn't just view cannabis as a putrid smell, but as a substance that can be utilized appropriately with the appropriate safety and education. And I'm glad you mentioned research. We got a lot of great research efforts going on here in Florida. Listen, Nikki, I know you got a hard stop. I know you're giving your closing arguments as you go around the stage. Why don't you give us in your time frame, your closing arguments so that all of our listeners know to go to the polls. Can we still donate today, or was that over yesterday?
Yes. Okay. Yes, today. No. Today is the last day to donate at midnight tonight. So certainly, if anyone else wants to donate, we've got that $4.20 button on our website. So go on there. But look, this is the argument. Our government hasn't been working for 28 years. We've had majority control of the state. Our education system is failing. Our healthcare system is failing. We're more divided than we've ever been before. We are losing our reproductive healthcare. We are losing our rights to vote. We are losing our rights to protest. We're losing our rights to teach. I mean, so when the governor keeps talking about freedom, I don't know what freedom looks like in his definitions, but that ain't my definition. Yes. And so knowing that, I'm the only one who could beat him. Every single pundit says, I think there was an article that came out yesterday that if it is Charlie Crist, it's like a slow pitch over the base. And you know how that gets hit right out to the park. I am a curveball and that is harder to hit. And so if we want that shot in November, I am our only option.
Absolutely. No, and I think for people listening today, I hope you got to see who Nikki is and what she's about. I know, just a quick question. I know a lot of people ask me too on gun control, because Florida is such a state that, they want open carry, they want all of this. Where do you stand on gun control? Because it is a pressing issue. And somebody asked me that yesterday. And I said, I haven't heard you speak actually on your stance on guns, but somebody did ask me that yesterday. So in fairness, I know that person is listening today. So I just wanted to get that.
Yep, absolutely. So first and foremost, as you all know, I have a concealed weapons permit. I have my own gun, but we got to make sure that we're doing it safely. Some of the things that I did as Commissioner of Agriculture, first thing foremost, I kicked the NRA out of my office, which is what I would do as the governor as well. I made sure that everybody had a complete and thorough background check when it came to the concealed program. I've stood side by side with activists and legislators and Parkland families like Fred Guttenberg to work on more safety measures like background checks for ammunition, getting rid of ghost guns. We've got to get rid of the assault weapons to protect our kids. And so there's a lot of things, including, safety storage measures, which is one thing that we also started about a few weeks ago, that everybody who receives a concealed weapons permit also has an entire sheet that shows you how to safely store your guns. Because unfortunately, when the highest rate of suicides with guns is that they've been taken from their family homes because they haven't been properly locked up. So these are just simple measures that should be bipartisan. None of that stuff is controversial. I know the assault weapons is a little bit more controversial, but I think that if we just sit down and rationally talk through it, that we can find a way to protect our kids. This is about the future, and they should not feel like they are moving targets inside of our schools.
Absolutely. And speaking of children, obviously there's so much controversy right now within what DeSantis is doing with our schools, whether it's funding, who's teaching. This is the new thing coming down the pike. What do you think?
We were created a war zone for our schools. We've created a war zone for our schools. Not only, are we telling our teachers that they've got to be the parents, they've got to be the guardians, they've got to be the mental health counselors, they've got to be the teachers. Now to bring guns into the classrooms to protect themselves and their kids. And now we are telling them that depending on what you say or what you don't say, you're going to be sued or not sued, and you can't teach history. And we're not going to pay you enough. And so all of that stuff needs to be rectified. We need to make sure that we're protecting our kids and our teachers in the classroom. We need to make sure there's enough resources for all the wraparound services. And we got to make sure that we're paying our teachers properly. And so I've said that within the first 4 years of my administration, we're going to be doubling the per pupil funding. That way, the more resources are going to go back to the school.
Nikki, we have 1 minute, so give us a wrap up of what are you doing?
Where are you going?
Where are you going
today?
Yeah, exactly.
When are you going to be? Are you going to be around here, Venice, Sarasota, on your tour?
So basically today, as we're starting in Gainesville, and then we're spending the day here. I'm actually getting an opportunity to go to my sorority house and see the women at my sorority house. So that's a very special for me. And then we head to.
Oh man, we had her all the way.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of the bus interview. Listen, this will set it up for you for MSNBC and CNN when they get you on the bus. So, Kramer, you guys going to be around here in Sarasota and Venice on your tour?
I think Commissioner Street's coming back. I just want to see if she can
Don't
just
step on
for
the
the last
commissioner.
1 minute.
Am I coming back?
Yes,
You're coming back
we
now.
can hear
Yep.
you.
Oh, we lost you.
Well, we
So-
have stops with the bus in Tampa, St. Pete. Then we're going to be also traveling south. It's a little bit shorter now at the time that we have. So we're figuring out stops, I believe, in the southwest region. Yes, Commissioner.
All right. Well, they're timing. I got to go anyhow, but I hope to see you all on part of the bus tour. And thank you again. It was good seeing you both.
It's nice to see
Thanks,
you.
Nikki.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good luck.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Stay safe and
Thank you.
healthy.
Dr. Gordon.
Thank you.
Ruta, thank you.
Thank
I'll be
you.
sharing details of the stops. We're creating mobilized links so you know the
Oh, perfect.
times,
Where she's
locations where Commissioner Frieda and the bus is going to be stopping. So I'll be happy to send those your way.
Thanks,
That'll be
Kramer, because I
perfect.
want to give you one more hearty handshake and an advocate's hug.
Mm-hmm.
And if Nikki's there, of course, give her one more. Listen, we're hoping, and I call it a Kansas tornado. I hope we see that Kansas effect of women and those that believe in women's healthcare rights, us men, everybody that believes in, listen, the vision, and like I said, Earth 1, Earth 2. Earth 1 to me is a society that cares about others, that lifts others up, that doesn't divide us, right? So I say, and I never give up. I never give up. I live by what Jimmy V, taught us, in elections, in sports, the scripts aren't written. So everybody get out and vote. Drag 2 or 3 people that are with you, that may not have voted to vote with you. This is a critical time, Kramer. And I thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Just so that
For the
people-
lower down seats too,
Seriously,
absolutely.
everybody needs to understand that you're voting for school board as well. You're voting for a lot of seats that are going to affect your children, your family, your community. So please go out. As Dr. Berry said, grab 1 or 2 people, head out to the polls. I know
And you can
that-
still donate today
and
too.
you can donate up
Correct.
until midnight. So what site, where do they go, Kramer, to donate to Nikki today?
The website, nikkifree.com, and there the first screen that shows is the donation button, so you can go there.
It's right on your screen.
Fantastic.
And yes, we
Awesome.
encourage everyone to do that online because that's how we will be able to get the contributions today before midnight.
Before
No
All right,
checks,
Kramer.
no cash, because that's a lot more difficult to get it on our side.
Today. No, absolutely. So
Awesome.
everybody,
Listen,
please visit
I know
the
you got
website.
things to do as well, and I will invite you, and you'll pass it on to the commissioner. After the primary and after she beats Charlie, I do invite the commissioner back into our office,
Yes, for the next,
have her-
the next
to
round
have-
of fundraising.
for the next round of fundraising. In fact, if she wants to initiate the next successful campaign in my office, like we did for this
I remember.
campaign, you'll pass that on, and
Perfect.
that would be an honor, and it's such an honor to be on Team Nikki, and we thank you so much to you for arranging this for us this morning.
Yes,
I know our
Kramer.
listeners really appreciate it. And Ruta, thank you so much for bringing out some of that personal and private side.
Thanks, Kramer, for
Ruta,
doing this.
Dr. Gordon, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. The
All right,
invitation now.
I know you're
We'll stay in
busy,
touch.
so go run and good luck. Go, Nikki.
Thank you.
And for
Bye-bye.
our listeners, we'll see everybody next week. Thanks.